There's a creature that shows up in your yard after dark, and the second most people spot it, their first instinct is the same. Back away, grab something to scare it off, maybe reach for your phone to call animal control. It's got matted fur, beady eyes, a mouthful of teeth, and it hisses like it wants a fight. Every instinct in your body says, don't touch that thing. And here's the twist. Your instincts are right, but not for the reason you think. By the end of this video, you're going to look at the ugliest animal in your backyard completely differently. Stay until the end, because the third fact I'm about to share is the one almost nobody knows, and it involves something happening in a lab right now that could save human lives. Before we get to the opossum, we need to talk about the actual threat hiding in your grass. Ticks. If your kids play in the yard, if your dog runs through the grass, if you've ever gone for a walk near tall weeds, ticks are already part of your life whether you notice them or not. They carry Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and anaplasmosis. The CDC estimates nearly 500,000 Americans are affected by Lyme disease every year, and it's not getting better. Warmer winters mean more ticks are surviving into spring, and their range keeps expanding north every year. Some entomologists are now calling tick-borne illness one of the fastest-growing public health concerns in North America, and most people have no idea it's happening in their own backyard. So what's quietly working against all of that, for free, every single night? The exact animal you've been chasing off your porch. Researchers at the Carey Institute of Ecosystem Studies ran an experiment that changed how scientists talk about opossums forever. A single opossum can eat up to 5,000 ticks in 1 week. Not 100, not 500, 5,000. Opossums groom themselves obsessively, for hours at a time, and every tick that latches onto their fur gets found, picked off, and eaten. Scientists now call them one of nature's most efficient tick control systems, more effective per animal than deer, mice, or squirrels, which actually spread ticks rather than remove them. That animal in your yard wasn't a threat. It was working the night shift, doing a job pest control companies charge hundreds of dollars for. Now, let's go through what you've actually been told about opossums and why most of it is wrong. Myth 1. Opossums carry rabies. This one's everywhere, and it's almost entirely false. Opossums have a naturally low body temperature, too low for the rabies virus to survive or replicate effectively in their system. Statistically, you're far more likely to catch rabies from a raccoon, a bat, or even a stray dog than from an opossum. In fact, confirmed cases of rabies in opossums are so rare that some wildlife biologists consider them close to a biological dead end for the virus. Yeah, seriously. The one disease everyone associates with them is the one they're least likely to carry. Myth 2. Touching an opossum is dangerous. Here's where the title of this video comes in. Opossums have around 50 teeth, more than almost any other North American mammal, and people assume that means a nasty bite is coming. But opossum bites on humans are extremely rare, and wildlife researchers point to one simple reason. Opossums are not confrontational animals. Their entire strategy is built around avoiding contact, not initiating it. The open-mouth hiss you see is a bluff, not a warning shot before an attack. Most recorded bite incidents happen only when a scared, cornered opossum is grabbed with bare hands and has no escape route, which is exactly why the smart move is still leave it alone, not go pet it. The danger was never the bite. The danger was always misunderstanding what the display meant. Myth 3. That dramatic scene where they hiss and show their teeth means they're aggressive. It's actually a performance. The gaping mouth, the drooling, the swaying, that's a fear display, not a threat. They're trying to convince you to walk away, not trying to start something. If it were truly aggressive, it wouldn't need a performance at all. It would just attack. The show itself is proof of how much it wants to avoid a fight. Myth 4. Playing dead is a clever trick. It's not a choice. When an opossum gets overwhelmed with stress, its nervous system forces it into an involuntary catatonic state. It collapses, its breathing slows, its heart rate drops, it releases a foul-smelling fluid from its glands, and it can stay frozen like that for up to 4 hours. It's not acting. It's closer to a stress-induced shutdown than a strategy, the animal equivalent of fainting from fear, except it can last longer than most predators are willing to wait around for. Myth 5. Opossums are dirty and spread disease. The opposite is closer to the truth. Beyond ticks, opossums also eat cockroaches, slugs, snails, and rotting fruit that would otherwise attract rodents. They're essentially a cleanup crew that also happens to be pest control. Multiple wildlife studies list opossums among the lowest disease-carrying mammals compared to raccoons, skunks, and rats. The animals people are usually far less afraid of. If any of this is already changing how you see the animal you've been shooing off your lawn, hit subscribe now. We dig into the hidden science behind everyday wildlife every week and drop a comment. Have you ever chased an opossum out of your yard? Or worse. Now let's talk about what opossums actually are. They're marsupials, the only marsupial native to North America. That means the mother carries her young in a pouch, just like a kangaroo. When opossum joeys are born, they're roughly the size of a honeybee, blind, hairless, barely developed, and they crawl instinctively into their mother's pouch to keep growing, attaching to a nipple they won't let go of for weeks. Out of a litter that can number close to 20, only a handful typically survive long enough to leave the pouch. Weeks later, when they're too big to stay inside it, they don't wander off. They climb onto her back. It's common to see a mother opossum moving through a yard at night with 6 or 8 babies clinging to her fur, learning the world one step at a time, riding along while she hunts, forages, and keeps them safe. And here's the fact almost nobody knows. Opossums are largely immune to snake venom. Researchers at San Jose State University isolated a peptide in opossum blood that neutralizes venom from rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and several other pit vipers. That peptide is now being studied as a possible foundation for a broader, cheaper antivenom, one that doesn't require the current, expensive process of milking venom from live snakes. In parts of the world where antivenom is scarce or unaffordable, a treatment built from something as simple as opossum blood chemistry could eventually save thousands of lives every year. The animal you didn't want in your yard might end up saving people who've never even seen one. There's more. Opossums also have an unusually strong resistance to certain toxins, and some researchers have studied their blood in connection with treatments for other venomous bites and stings, beyond just snakes. None of that research exists because someone thought opossums were cute. It exists because someone finally looked past what they assumed and asked what the animal was actually capable of. Opossums have existed for more than 70 million years. They were around before the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, and they outlasted it. They outlasted saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths, and species that were bigger, faster, and far more intimidating. Not by being the strongest, by staying quiet, adaptable, and easy to overlook. In a world that keeps rewarding the loudest and the flashiest, the opossum has spent 70 million years proving that surviving quietly works just fine. So maybe the real question isn't whether you should touch the opossum in your yard. You shouldn't. Not because it's dangerous, but because it doesn't need to be handled to help you. It just needs to be left alone to do what it's already doing. Maybe the better question is, how many things in your life have you been pushing away or trying to get rid of without ever finding out what they were actually doing for you? If this changed how you look at your backyard, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of hidden nature story we cover every week. And tell me in the comments, what's another animal you think we've all got wrong? I read every single one.